Hi, I'm Melissa with Mix in Some Magic. I'm a Disney planning expert and I'm here to mix a little magic into your day. Each week I share Disney vacation planning tips, park strategies, and a little bit of Disney history sprinkled in. Of course, I like to include lots of Disney magic. Join me, let's mix in some magic. Hello and welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I hope you're doing great. I hope summer is not kicking your butt and that you're having a good time. Hopefully you have something fun planned this summer. Maybe a Disney trip. Maybe you're going to be taking advantage of the amazing ticket deal that is happening right now. It's saving people hundreds of dollars. And I've never seen a ticket sale this good. It's exciting. So if you can, take advantage of it. It lasts until September 26th. You have to purchase tickets by September 12th. So I'm going to put a link down in the show notes if you want to check it out, see how much it can save you. I recommend booking through my partners at Getaway Today because their prices are even lower than Disney's prices. Plus they offer flexibility and they have amazing hotels with free nights, and you can save even more by booking with Getaway Today. Their customer service is amazing. And it just makes sense because who needs to pay even more money and have zero flexibility by booking with Disney? So if you are planning on Disney this summer or you're just kind of toying with the idea, I think you should do it. It's a great time to go because summer's busy, of course, and it's hot, but these ticket prices make it worth it. So I booked an impromptu trip for August so I can take advantage of these sales for my kids. And it's going to be fun. I'm excited. Yay for saving money. It always makes me happy. My husband and I are movie people. We go and see a lot of movies. I guess it's really more my husband's a movie person and I'm more of a popcorn person. And so I'm happy to just sit and eat the popcorn. And my husband enjoys watching the movies. So we go to movies a lot. But I have specific types of movies that I won't see. I don't like scary movies at all. Will not see those. Sad movies, I don't really want to see those. Like if, the main character is going to die, don't want any part of that. Like those sad romantic movies, like The Notebook. Nope. Don't want to see that. So there's only specific movies that I like to see. I like to see comedies and I like to see dramas as long as they're not too violent and stressful. If they are, I usually have to leave halfway through the intense parts because I just need a break. I know it sounds so dumb, but it just gets overwhelming and like too much. So I have to go out in the hallway for a little minute until that part's over and then I can go back in. It's silly, but there you go. So no scary, nothing too intense. But we do see a lot of movies, and Inside Out 2 is coming out. I think it actually is out, maybe this weekend. I'm not sure. I haven't been following yet. I usually do like to go see the new Disney movies, but I am not going to go see Inside Out 2 because I really hated the first one. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I know people loved it, but I did not. So I'm not going to go see the second one. Now, I only saw the first one time. Maybe I was just in a weird mood or in a weird place, and that's what made me not like it, but I didn't like it. Like I said, we see a lot of movies, and I have rarely felt like I wanted to leave the theater permanently. I mean, I leave when it's too scary or too intense, but I haven't ever felt like I wanted to leave the theater because I just hated the movie until I saw Inside Out. The first one, I was in the theater and I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't like this. I don't want my kids to see this. And I mean, we stuck it out and I hated the whole thing. I probably should give it another try, but I don't know. I don't like the premise of it, that there's these little people that live in our heads that control everything. And it just made me feel like they were saying that we don't have control over our emotions. We don't have control over our actions. Like those things just happen to us and we just have to deal with whatever is happening inside our heads, we don't get to control it. And that is like the opposite of what we teach our kids since they were little. Like, you are in control of yourself. You're in charge of your feelings. Like, nobody can make you feel mad. Nobody can make you feel sad. You get to decide how you feel because you are in charge of yourself. And so I feel like that kind of undermined our parenting message a little bit. And I didn't like how, I don't even know the little girl's name, but how she was having a bad day, things weren't going well, and her instinct was to run away. I didn't like that. That's not a great way to deal with your problems. And I hated Bing Bong. Ugh, he is so weird. And I don't know, he just rubbed me the wrong way. And when he fell in the pit, everybody was so sad. And I was like, good girl. I think you just like go. Walk away. You're better off. You don't need that guy. I'm sure I'm hurting people's feelings. If Inside Out was your favorite movie, then that's great. I'm so happy for you. I know that a lot of people don't like my favorite Disney movie, but Inside Out was just not my thing, not my jam. Maybe someday I'll give it another try, but I doubt it. I don't know. So anyway, we'll not be going to see Inside Out 2. I haven't heard anything about it, but I hope it's good. This just got real long, super long tangent about Inside Out. Sorry about that. That was not planned. It did not mean to go that direction. What I really want to talk about today is sharing a topic that I think is relevant for every single Disney fan. I want to talk about tips and recommendations for visiting Disneyland with different age groups. So whether you're traveling with babies or toddlers or kids or teenagers or adults or seniors, I want to give you some tips for every single age group. And hopefully, I mean, most people travel with more than one age group, so hopefully you can kind of like merge all of these tips together to fit your group that you're traveling with so that you can have an extra great time. Let's start with babies and toddlers. Now, it might seem daunting planning a trip with your baby or toddler, and it can be. Visiting Disneyland with babies and toddlers is so fun. I love it, but it's also hard. I mean, going anywhere with babies and toddlers is tricky, and Disneyland is no exception. I have had lots of people ask me if they should bring their babies and toddlers to Disney or if they should leave them at home with grandparents and just take them when they're older. And this is a really personal choice. So I always tell people, will you feel sad when you're there if your baby is not there or your toddler is not there? If you're going to feel sad and miss them and feel like they're missing out on these fun experiences, then I would take them. If you don't think you're going to feel sad at all and you're going to feel grateful that they're not there so that you can focus on other people, your other kids or other people that you're with and not worry about all that comes along with babies and toddlers, then leave them at home. It is magical to see your young child have that Disney experience, but at the same time, if they're very, very young, they're not going to react to any of that magic anyway. I mean, my 18-month-old, when I took her, she could have cared less. Like if we were at the grocery store or at the park, it didn't matter to her. She didn't respond to any of the rides, didn't react to any of the characters until she got a little bit older. So I think it just depends on you and what you want to do. But if you do decide to bring your baby or your toddler, I'm sure it'll be great. You're going to have a great time, but here are some tips that will help you out. Use the baby care center. So they have two. One is in Disneyland and one is in California Adventure Park. And they have little areas for feeding and changing and nursing. It's nice and quiet in there. It's air conditioned. It's air conditioned. And they even have little toddler-sized toilets. So that is a great place to go if you need kind of a break to feed your baby or step away from a little while where there's less chaos, then definitely check that out. Strollers. You're going to need a stroller. I don't care if your toddler is a good walker. You're going to need a stroller. So you can bring your own or you can rent one. I always brought my own when my kids were little just because I didn't want to pay for an uncomfortable stroller, and I wanted to be able to have all the storage and, the little like cup holders and the pockets and all the things that your stroller has. I wanted all of that convenience. Plus, I wanted to be able to take my stroller back to the hotel. When you rent from Disney, you have to obviously leave the strollers there on property. Now, there is a workaround, which I found that is amazing. There's a company called OC Baby Gear that rents strollers. And these are nice strollers, not like the stupid plastic ones that Disney rents. So they will drop the stroller off at your hotel for you before you arrive, and then they will pick it up at the end of your trip from your hotel. You just leave it in the lobby and they'll come and grab it. And they are cheaper than Disney per day. So I would go with them. I'll put a link down in the show description, and you can also, there's a little code that I think you can save a little bit of money also. But I would go that route because then you don't have to travel with a stroller, which is a huge hassle. Fitting a stroller in your car if you're driving is a nightmare. It's going to take up all your space. Taking it through the airport is often annoying. So I would go with OC Baby Gear because they're comfortable strollers. They're really nice, and you're going to save money over renting through Disney. I would also start with some gentler rides. Don't throw your kid on Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean right off the bat. I would go with like It's a Small World or Dumbo or the Carousels or the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Fantasyland is a great place to start for your whole family, no matter who is traveling, because there are fun rides there. It's iconic. You get to walk through the castle as you start your day. And there's lots of great starter rides for little babies, toddlers, and kids. If your baby needs a nap, you might want to kind of think that through as you're planning your day. Maybe they're going to nap in the stroller really great, and that would be amazing. Or maybe you're going to have to leave the parks, go back to the hotel for a nap. Or maybe you can park yourself in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln for a little while and they'll just sleep. So kind of plan that out. You don't want it to be a surprise when all of a sudden your baby's losing their mind and needs a nap and you haven't really thought this through of where you're going to go, what you're going to do. I mean, maybe you can hold your baby on the train and go around a couple times and that would be the perfect nap time. But just kind of think it through about what your child is going to need. And the last thing I'm going to talk about for babies is to make sure you pack all of the essentials that you're going to need. You bring plenty of diapers and wipes and sunscreen, a change of clothes, even if you have a toddler who is potty trained. When you're in a different environment and things are exciting, your toddler might not stop to tell you that they have to go to the bathroom. Accidents can happen, so I would throw in a change of clothes for sure. And bring plenty of snacks, things that your baby is familiar with and they like to eat. I would bring those as well, just because you never know how they're really going to feel about different food when you're out and about. Maybe they're not going to like the food that you have for them, at Disneyland if you order them at one of the toddler meals or something. So I would bring extra snacks that they're going to like so they don't get grouchy. And next up, let's talk about visiting Disneyland with kids. I have a few tips to share with you. First one is make sure you check the height requirements in advance so that you're not disappointed in the parks. There is nothing worse than getting in line for a ride that your kid is so excited about, only to find out that they are too short, and then they have that disappointment and they're so sad. You don't want to deal with that. So let's measure everybody before you even arrive. Put them in their shoes that they're going to be wearing at the parks and measure them. See how tall they are. My friend actually sells this really cute height chart that has all of the Disneyland attractions and their height. So you can hang it on the wall and your kid can stand against it and they can see which rides they are tall enough to ride. It's super cute. I'm going to put a link to that down in the show description so you can check it out. But measure your kids, see how tall they are, and then talk about the rides that they're going to be able to go on. Focus on the positive. And also bring up the rides that they can't go on yet. I would let them know in advance. Like, oh, you're not quite tall enough for Matterhorn yet. That's okay. We'll go back when you get a little bit bigger. Things like that so that they have their expectations and everybody knows and is on the same page. Using a rider switch is my next tip. It's awesome for parents so that you can take turns and not have to wait in the line 2 times. So with rider switch, if maybe you have a child that's not tall enough to go on the Matterhorn, but the rest of the group wants to go on the Matterhorn, you obviously can't leave your small child alone. So you will tell the cast member at the entrance that you want to do rider switch. Sometimes they'll give you a piece of paper. Usually they scan your ticket on your app and the rest of the group will go wait in line. They'll go on Matterhorn, and when they come off, the person that was waiting with the child can then go into the lightning lane with one other person so they don't have to ride alone, and they can quickly ride the attraction. So it's like you don't have to wait in the standby line 2 times. So that is a really nice perk and definitely worth taking advantage of with kids. Now, many kids love to meet characters at the parks, and if this is your child, then I would prioritize meeting the characters if that's really important to them. Because there is nothing sadder than finding out that the character that your child really, really wanted to meet the very most stops greeting guests at 5 p.m. or something like that. That is really, really sad. So prioritize the character meet and greets if that is what is most important to your child. Look on the Disneyland app, find out where they're going to be, how long they're going to be there, and work that into your schedule. I'm not saying that you have to go and do that very first, but make it a priority and make sure you know where to find them and when they're going to be available so that you don't miss out, because the characters usually aren't out a lot after it gets dark. Some of them are, but some of them are not. And Tinkerbell, she closes early. Princesses, they close earlier in the day, so make sure you know when they are going to be available. I have a whole guide to meeting the characters at Disneyland. I'll put that in the show notes. It talks about how to find out which characters are out, what time they're going to be available, things like that. So I'll put that in the show notes. Again, with kids, same with babies, pack the essentials. You know what your kids need. Make sure you bring them sunscreen. I always like to bring snacks, water bottles, those kinds of things. I also like to bring a couple of little toys for younger kids. So if they're getting tired of waiting in line, you can kind of pull something out. Usually I'll go to the dollar store and get some cheapy toys. So if they lose them, then it's no big deal. But I'll just get a few little things that I can pull out if it looks like people are starting to fall apart. It makes a big difference. Now, parades and shows are so fun for kids, and it gives them a good chance to take a break because their little legs are working hard at Disneyland. Even if you have a stroller for them, they are still walking way more than they are used to, and it's often hot. Like, they're going to be tired, and if you can work in fun little ways to take a break and let them sit and relax, it can really make a difference. So taking in those parades and shows where they are taking a break but they're still entertained and having a good time is always a good idea. Little ones love Disney Junior over in California Adventure Park. Definitely take advantage of that. It's a fun show, and all the other little shows and experiences are great too. So work some of those into your day, especially in the afternoon after lunch when people are starting to get tired. It's a great way to kind of reboot and take a break. Next, let's talk about visiting Disneyland with teenagers. Now, this is my age group right now for my kids. They're all teenagers or adults, and it's a different ballgame than traveling with toddlers. I don't have to bring a change of clothes for my teenagers, and I don't have to carry around all their stuff either. It's amazing. Like, you just bring a bag. If there's stuff you need to take, you're in charge of it. It's the best. I love Disneyland with teenagers, but it is a little bit different. I asked my teenagers what tips they had, and like a typical teenager, they were like, I don't know. I'm like, come on, think of something. Give me something. And my daughter said, well, don't just focus on the little kid rides. I was like, all right. So that's all I got out of her. But brings me to my first point. The teenagers like to hit the thrill rides. So Space Mountain, Indiana Jones, Guardians of the Galaxy, Goofy Sky School, Incredicoaster, all those are way more fun for teenagers. That being said, though, don't skip out on some of the littler rides because they are really fun too, and they are designed to make everybody happy. So don't skip out on Snow White or Mr. Toad or Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I have had people tell me that they have been skipping that ride because they thought it was just for little kids. No, it's for everybody. So when I go with my teenagers, we still go on all of those little rides and they enjoy them, but they do want to focus on the bigger rides, which I understand. You can also use single rider lines with your teens. You can do it with your kids too if they are over the age of 7. So single rider line is a great way to cut down on wait times for those popular attractions. There's not a ton of attractions that utilize single rider. I wish there were more, but there's really not. The one that I always use single rider for is Radiator Springs Racers because that line is so very long. Teenagers love that ride, kids love that ride, adults love the ride, and if you can wait single rider, it will usually save you a lot of time. Teenagers also love freedom, and they like being able to go off and explore Disneyland on their own. So if they're old enough and you feel comfortable with it, then I think this is a great place to let teenagers go off and be on their own for a little bit. My teenagers have had a great time doing this. So we've visited before and they've gone off with friends or just with their siblings and they've had a lot of fun. They feel very big to be away from mom and dad and exploring the parks on their own. Although my daughter would send me texts occasionally and be like, "Can you mobile order us Mickey pretzels from Refreshment Corner?" and stuff like that. So that was fun. But they do like to be off on their own. And this is a great way for them to go on some of those bigger rides while you take a break. Maybe they don't want to ride the train around while they sip their Diet Coke. Let them go do something else. Totally fine. You ride the train, you enjoy, and let them go off on their own for a little bit and feel really big. The nighttime entertainment at the Disney parks is really fun, and teenagers are awesome because they can stay up really late. Kind of like what they do. So if you can let them stay late and enjoy the nighttime entertainment like Fantasmic and the fireworks and World of Color, then that's awesome. They will love it. Plus, they can take advantage of the lower wait times that come with staying late. So if Disneyland's open till midnight, between 10 p.m. and midnight, the wait times are significantly shorter. So this is a great time for them to run around and take advantage of shorter wait times, and they don't mind staying up late. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I will share some tips about visiting Disneyland with adults and visiting Disneyland with seniors. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Mixin' Some Magic. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to give a shout out to our amazing sponsor, Audible. I am now an Audible affiliate and I am so excited about it. I've been using Audible for years and I am really happy to have this chance to team up with a brand that I have loved and used for quite some time. If you love the magic of storytelling but find it hard to make time for reading, Audible is your perfect solution. With Audible, you can listen to a huge selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and more, all from the convenience of your favorite device. Whether you're into thrilling mysteries, self-help, or epic fantasy, Audible has something for everyone because they have thousands of titles available. As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. But that's not all. Members also get full access to a growing selection of included audiobooks, Audible originals, and podcasts. You can download or stream included titles all you want. Most of our Disney Book Club selections are available on Audible, including this month's title. And here's the best part. I've teamed up with Audible to offer you an exclusive deal. By using my special link, you can get a free 30-day trial of Audible. That's right, 30 days of stories, knowledge, and entertainment absolutely free. If you love podcasts, and you must because you're here, I know you'll love Audible. Just visit www.audibletrial.com/mixinsomeMagic to start your free trial today. That's www.audibletrial.com/mixinsomeMagic. I'll also include a link for you in the show notes. It's a fantastic way to discover the joy of audiobooks and to support my podcast at the same time. Happy listening, and thanks to Audible for making today's episode possible. Ads are a pain in the butt. I really don't like them, but unfortunately, they are a necessary evil when you run a podcast. If you're listening to the ad and affiliate supported version of Mix and Some Magic, thank you. Your support helps keep Mix and Some Magic running. If you're listening to the ad-free version on Patreon, thank you as well. Your monthly support is so appreciated and helps me with equipment costs, editing software, research materials for the show, and more. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, I'll put a link in the show notes. There's several membership options with the lowest being $5 a month. All Patreon supporters are invited to attend our monthly Disney book club as well. So come and join us. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get back to the episode. Welcome back. If you have never been on a Disney trip with all adults, you really need to plan one. So much fun, whether it is a romantic getaway with your partner or a girls' trip, or you're just going with like a bunch of siblings and friends, or a couples trip. So much fun to be at Disneyland with all adults. Think about it. The worst parts about Disney are kids. That's super rude of me to say. I don't really mean it, but kids make things hard a lot of times. They're grouchy and they don't want to wait in line, and they're having problems with this, and they're mad at this sibling, and they peed their pants, and they're afraid to go on this ride, and they want to eat chicken nuggets, but you're eating pizza. It's all the things. We love kids. They're amazing. They're the best, but they can be hard no matter where you are, and they can be hard at Disneyland, even though they're fun and they have a great time. If you don't take your kids and just do an adults only trip, it is so fun. The best. If you're going to do adults only trip, I have some recommendations. I would definitely do some dining that maybe you wouldn't do with kids. Maybe hit up a Blue Bayou. I mean, you can definitely take your kids to the Blue Bayou, but it's a lot more fun with adults who are really going to enjoy the atmosphere and are going to enjoy the food. So look at the dining options and maybe book a dining reservation or two that you're like, this would be perfect. Very fun to do without kids. You can also go visit lounges like Oga's Cantina in Galaxy's Edge or the Lamplight Lounge in Disneyland to get some unique and different cocktails. You can take time to really explore special events like the Food and Wine Festival, or maybe you're going to go to a Disneyland After Dark experience that you really probably wouldn't take your kids to because it would be too late for them to stay out. Things like that are really fun with all adults. It's also really fun to take your time and explore different areas like New Orleans Square. Go and look in all of the shops, or go in all of the shops up and down Main Street. It's very fun. You can also get a ton of rides done if you don't have kids with you. You can knock those out fast because you're not pushing a stroller, you're not stopping for a million snacks, you're not stopping for a million bathroom breaks. You're just going and focusing on the rides, and it is really fun. It's also a good time to consider maybe a behind-the-scenes tour, like it used to be called Walk and Walt's Footsteps. What's it called now? It's always going to be Walk and Walt's Footsteps today. Walt's Main Street Story? Journey? Adventure? Something like that. It's the one where they take you into the apartment above the firehouse, Walt's apartment. So you could consider doing a tour like that. That is way more fun for adults. Those tours are, if you have older kids, they'd probably think it was fine if they are obsessed with Disney history and things like that, but it is definitely more geared towards adults. So that's a great thing to do with adults only. Adults only trips are just the best, but let me warn you, it is a slippery slope, because once you go to Disney with only adults and you see what it can be like, then sometimes it's hard to go back with younger little kids. Just, you've been warned. There you go. Okay, let's talk about the last group, visiting Disneyland with seniors. Now, when you're talking about visiting Disneyland with older people, you want to focus on comfort and convenience. So Disney does have mobility aids. They can rent wheelchairs or electric scooters if needed, and this is a really good option for a lot of seniors because, again, like the toddlers and the kids, they're not used to walking around that much. So if that will be helpful for them, I would definitely get them something like that, because if they can not be tired and exhausted from walking, they're going to have a better time. They're going to have a better experience. And that's what we want, is for them to have a great time. You might need to go at a little bit of a slower pace. Maybe you're not going to be able to rush from attraction to attraction. You might need to take things a little bit slower, and you might need to focus on some of those slower paced attractions like It's a Small World, the Disneyland Railroad. Taking them on things like the Mark Twain Riverboat would be great. Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. All of those would be awesome. You're going to want to make sure that they have time to rest. So when I'm visiting with seniors, I like to have sit-down dining reservations in the afternoon, because this gives them a chance to sit and relax and enjoy a meal and not feel that pressure to rush around and do other things. So they have time to sit and relax, but kind of work in other breaks for them too. Maybe you could say, hey, we're going to be going on this attraction, but why don't you pop into this shop or sit in this shady area under this tree and hang out while we go and do these other things. Like, give them chances to take breaks if they want them. Give them choices. I have found if you give them choices, it's really, really helpful. Like, hey, we're going to be going on Space Mountain. I know you don't want to do that. Would you like to sit here in the shade and wait for us? Or would you like to go over and look in these shops? Or would you like to go watch this show that's nearby? Give them options so that they can decide what is best for them in that moment. But if you are visiting when it's hot, then definitely make sure you get them into the air conditioning often. Things like the Tiki Room, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, Mickey's PhilharMagic, anywhere in the Animation Academy over in DCA, things like that are really helpful to give them a cooler place to rest. If you're traveling with seniors, they may or may not want to stay late for the nighttime entertainment. Again, I think giving them a choice is a good option. Then they can decide if they want to go back to the hotel or if they want to stay for the nighttime entertainment. When I have visited with seniors, I have found that at least the seniors I visited with are really happy to be there. They enjoy the atmosphere. They enjoy some of the rides. They enjoy the food and the shows, but they are really worried about being a burden or slowing us down. And I never want them to feel like that. So I try to plan our day so that we still get to do the things that we want to do, but that we're taking things at a slower pace so that everybody can keep up. And that when we are off doing things that maybe the seniors aren't able to do or don't want to do, there's something fun for them to do too. Because I don't want to just leave them sitting in their wheelchair in the shade for 4 hours while we're off running around enjoying the parks. So try to work in different things that you know they will enjoy, that they'll be able to do, and maybe talk with them in advance about what you think they will enjoy, get their opinions on some different things, and let them make some decisions, because that will make them feel more a part of the vacation. And that's what you want, everybody to have a great time and to feel a part of it and to get the most out of your trip. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope I was able to sprinkle in some helpful tips for visiting Disney parks with guests of all ages, because it's so different with every single age group, but it's so fun with every single age group. The Disney parks are really inclusive of guests of all ages, which is so nice. If you take your baby to Disneyland, they're going to be able to ride on a lot of different things. It's a Small World, Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, Haunted Mansion, all of the Fantasyland rides. Like, there's so many things for babies and toddlers and young kids who don't meet the height requirements to do and enjoy, especially when you're talking about characters and the entertainment. But there's other parks that are not as inclusive of all ages, like Universal Studios. I absolutely love Universal Studios, but we didn't take our family there until our youngest was 6 or 7 because there was nothing for her to do. And I knew she wouldn't have a good time because all of the rides are bigger, they have higher height requirements, and I knew she wasn't going to enjoy herself and nobody was going to want to sit off of these really cool rides to wait with her while everyone else had fun. So we just waited to go to those parks until everybody could go and enjoy it. And I love that Disney has something for everyone. It really does make it the perfect place for a family vacation because you know that when you go, everybody's going to have a good time. Whether you have toddlers or seniors or adults or teens, there's something for everyone and everybody's going to have a good time and enjoy their vacation. Thank you so much for listening. You are the best. I appreciate you. And thank you so much to my Patreon members. Thank you, thank you. Mixin' Some Magic is still on the air. I'm still recording because of my Patreon members, and I appreciate you so much. If you are interested in becoming a Patreon member, then you can check out the link in the show description. There's more information over there. All right, that's all I've got for you today. I will be back next week with something new. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk soon.